Hey guys, or person. I'm early, so I didn't know when this would start and didn't want to miss it because it's going to be pretty crazy. So it appears at the end of the last break before lunch break, the state had rested, and that would leave the position coming into the afternoon session. Darrell Brooks making an opening statement. He indicates from his comments before the break that he will do that. And of course, it got quite spicy at the end of the break with his arguing with the judge and going back and forth and trying to force her hand and trying to aggravate her and doing all that and making ridiculous arguments and letting a lot of his personality come up. And also, though, asking her whether he would be allowed to do his own exhibits. I suppose he's talking about there in this opening statement. She queried him about that, and he talked about his filings. And so she ended up saying no because he wouldn't be specific about an example of what he wanted to show. And probably his opening statement exhibits would be some of his crackpot filings, and that's why the judge said no to that. It's one thing to show an exhibit of the evidence that's in, of course, or maybe even evidence that you know is going to come in, but his filings have pretty much, from what I've known about, have been bizarre sovereign citizen nonsense, and she's not gonna let that be part of the opening statement, I don't think, and indicated that by saying, I'm going to deny that unless you can give me good examples of exhibits that you want to put in. So we will have to see what happens with that. It should be coming back any moment here. Say I wanted to get the stream started a little early because fireworks could start early in this matter, and make sure I do have, I think I have this on correctly. They just haven't started it yet. That could be a matter of, well, I don't know what it would be, getting people seated or that sort of thing, but I'm going to just check and make sure. I think I have all the correct things going. But typically I'm able to find any technical way to screw this up and then screw it up. I'm going to make sure I'm not doing that.
Sherry Beasley supported letting
Political ads. So we're still on pause here. The first action should be opening statement. I mean, I think they'll come in and probably discuss the process for that, which will probably, a good chance that will lead to an argument. But then once that's settled, okay, well, it is going on. Here we go.
Just one
Let
second.
me just get this Bible passage ready. Hi, back to Orlando.
And for the record, I don't consent to that name.
No, who would?
Noted for the record.
Not sure who's behind him. It's a new person, I think.
I intend to have the jury
Could be a
brought out. I
witness
presume you're
for
ready
this
to go?
afternoon. In theory, you know, he has a little pods of witnesses he's supposed to tell the DA about since they're helping to coordinate his subpoenas. He didn't want to give the order, which is understandable, but if he needs the
Can you
help,
sit
we've
up?
got to
Because I'm not
have some
hearing you
level of
very well,
cooperation.
so that the microphone picks you up, please.
I'm having a slight issue locating some of the files that I need. That's what I was trying to say.
All right, we'll take a moment. You can tell me when you locate them.
Okay.
So again, before the break, he was arguing with the judge about what exhibits he'd be able to use, and I think that was in the context of an opening statement, and she was concerned because he said he wanted to use filings that he'd made, and I think a lot of his filings are sovereign citizen nonsense, and the opening statement should not devolve into that. It's supposed to be a roadmap of what his case will be, supported by the evidence for the witnesses he's going to call, and I suppose he could also say things about what he thinks are defects in the state's case so far, as long as it's related to the evidence, since he deferred his opening statement to this point. We'll just have to see. And yeah, the guy sitting there waiting to see what's going to happen, kind of get his vibe there, like, let's just chill here a minute and let him find the files that he needs. And get ready for that. I think he's thinking about his big moment in front of the jury because the seething hostility he was exhibiting toward the judge and the DA seems to have simmered down some, and he's got it back under control. He's not somebody who kills people all the time, right? Some of the time he's not killing people. And this is one of those times when he can focus on the documents he wants instead of how he'd like to murder more
Ron, I have a
people.
question.
Sure.
Go ahead.
The files that I'm attempting to locate
Right.
are pertains directly to the witnesses that I will be calling.
Okay, that's fair.
I'm not sure what witnesses are here today.
Well,
Okay.
let's do this. I'd like you to at least do your opening statement, bring the jury in, do that. We'll give you an opportunity to look again. I can have the state write down who's here. I believe it's based on what you told them, and then if there's still something you need at that point, but I'd like to at least bring the jury out and start with your opening statement, okay?
Well, just so I'm clear, I didn't give a specific order in
Right.
who I will be calling by specific order. I gave a generalization of
Sure, I'll
who
have the
would be-
state, sorry.
who would be called on what day.
Why don't I have the state write down who's here presently, and then you can make that determination, but at least let's go with the opening statement, okay?
That's what I was trying to get at. It would help to know who's actually here today.
Before you make your opening statement?
Well, so I know if they're not here, then essentially I can't call them.
But that's not your opening statement.
Let's address that after. I'll have the state write down.
You could see the optimism
who they know to be
leaving
here
her
now,
body.
who's coming this afternoon, because there might have been people here this morning. I believe they're still here, but I'll let them write that down for you so you can better
Yeah, I don't know how
prepare.
her hair is pointed
But at
down.
this point,
Mine
I
would be
like to
straight up
bring the
at
jury
this
out
point
for
in
your
the
opening
experience she's
statement.
having.
I presume you're gonna give one.
I am.
Okay.
Here we go. He's going to
Then
do it.
I'll have the jury brought out, okay?
Subject matter jurisdiction.
No.
My prior written decision stands. I will not be addressing that further. Your objection is noted, and I will be continuing with the trial.
Is it verified proof for the record?
Lord.
Sir, I don't believe I need to do that, or that the state needs to do that as well. I believe your statement about that is a misstatement of the law.
But is this lawful
And I
law?
do not intend to pursue that further.
Can you show me lawful law that says that?
I
See,
gave you a written
I
decision.
can channel him at
Can you
this
show me
point. We all
lawful law
can.
that verifies that
Sir,
for the record.
I gave you a written decision. You
That
can,
I accepted for value in return for
and
value.
that's
because
that's
it
how I'm gonna answer that.
it
So
was
let's,
not verified proof.
Who cares? It's looking
Still-
fairly verified to
still
me
fine.
with the robe, the
Sir,
bailiffs, the courtroom,
There's no
the
requirement
jury.
in the law that the state or the court establish that. So your
Actually, there
objection's
is.
noted.
Actually, there is, Your Honor.
Oh, Lord.
Subject matter jurisdiction
Sir,
has to be
please.
proven for the record. Has
This
to
is
be
not.
proven. Has to be proven.
He's very
No,
correct.
that is
You'd
what
have to have a
it's-
lawful
Mr.
law.
Brooks,
That's
You know that.
Please do not
something
make
a lot of
statements
lawyers
that
don't know. A lot of
mischaracterize the
lawful
law,
lawyers,
has
I
to
should
be
say.
proven.
or that
For the
impugn the
record.
integrity of this
You
court.
know it has to be proven
and the
on the
proceedings
record.
here.
You know
The
it has
jury
to
is
be proven.
advised to disregard the statements that Mr. Brooks is making regarding subject matter jurisdiction. They are not evidence.
So I guess he's going to have to
You
give
are
his
to
opening
disregard
statement
them.
standing there like he is,
Presented as evidence.
since he's shackled or whatever.
Has yet to be
And then
The jury will disregard.
I assume, because I
the
didn't-
incorrect
I don't think I
statements of the
remember
law
it.
that Mr. Brooks is
the
stating.
opening statement by the state probably would have been done the same
Mr.
way
Brooks,
because she's
please.
tried to keep
I
the
am
movement
going
of the
to
party
read
similar.
one instruction. Thank you, everyone. Please be seated. The defendant will now make an opening statement.
Lord,
The
this poor
purpose of
judge.
the opening statement is to give the defendant an opportunity to tell you what he expects the evidence will show so that you will better understand the evidence as it is introduced during the trial.
It's awfully
I
lawful.
must caution you, however, that the opening statements are not evidence. With that, go ahead, sir.
You should also caution him, you're about to see some serious something.
Obviously, I don't have any rehearsed or well prepared speech, so I'm just gonna speak from the heart.
Okay? It's a rare moment he tells the truth, and this
I would
was not
just
a
like
rare
to
moment.
First say that I want to bring to remembrance something I think everyone in this room has been taught pretty much as far back as we can remember, is that there's always two sides to every story. And for so long now, roughly a year,
Uh-huh.
there's only truly been one side told of this story.
And he's going to
And,
make up a new side today.
I've sat back and watched from countless narratives that's been put out there.
Videos of me murdering people, beating
The
people,
way this incident has been portrayed at times.
as if it's negative. Look at all the people I didn't kill.
Finally, everyone getting a chance to get the full story.
Oh, what would that be? All right, let's
You
do
won't
it.
hear me try to argue facts.
Good idea.
The fact is that this incident was tragic. Very tragic. That's not lost on me.
Uh-huh.
Facts are that there's still a lot of people healing,
I should have.
a lot of families healing on both sides.
Absolutely.
And when I'm confident that,
Isn't this video of me killing
Yeah,
people a
this
little
show.
too clear?
sorry, I'm getting a little emotional.
Uh-huh.
When I'm confident that the evidence will show is that this incident was not planned.
Okay.
This incident was not intentional.
Okay.
And this incident was never even thought about.
But you did it or didn't do it?
It's easy to
The only rapping he'll be doing is his cellmate's Christmas present.
I'm sorry. Just need a second.
He wasn't sorry during the autopsies and descriptions of decimated children, women, men, families. But he is sorry he's going through this. Sorry he got caught.
I think it's
The deputy, not emotionally moved by this so far.
it's easy to look at the magnitude of something like this and form opinions.
That's true. Like mass murder is bad. I jumped to that conclusion myself.
I think it's easy to disregard a lot of factors.
Which is which one?
And I think in reference to what I stated earlier, it's easy to forget the other side of the coin.
Okay. Let's get that coin toss going.
There's been a lot of suffering involved in this incident. A lot. Obviously, with the families,
How do you square this with his hostile questioning of the victims and their families?
with the community. And even the alleged defendant's family as well. There's been a lot of suffering. a lot of misunderstanding. And I just want you to keep in mind everything that will be presented in its totality. Keep in mind.
He seems to be going with this wasn't intentional, even though he's been trying to dispute identification throughout the trial.
The power that you have.
Yeah. To do what for you that you couldn't do for yourself by pleading guilty?
I believe that should escape your knowledge. This has been a long process for everybody.
Right? Made longer by countless pointless objections. But go ahead. You may continue.
And what I believe is when it's time for you to make your decision,
Right?
all of you, I believe that, and I pray that it's the right decision.
I'm with you there. I join you in that prayer. I mean, is he going to just go ahead and confess here or what? I say, I did it. I just didn't mean to do it or didn't plan it. He almost did that at the police station. He almost
all the
did.
factors are weighed.
Right? Mm-hmm. Got to weigh the factors.
There's been a lot of words thrown out there.
A lot of words. Like Sally
about
Port.
the alleged. A lot of speculation, a lot of ridicule.
Yes. You deserve it. We saw the music video. So he's focusing on a ridicule of him. That really
like
upsets
demon.
him. It's hard for him.
Words like monster.
Yeah. This is about you and what you've been put through. This is awful. I can't imagine being called a name. That's terrible. Of course, I do think it was intentional. How much
a lot of
planning?
the time,
Who knows? But intentional? Yes.
Before you see me with this mask on.
You're the one wearing the mask.
I've had my reasons for that.
Right.
But I feel now is the time to. It's important that you see me for who I am.
I think they've done that.
No mask. For who I am.
No gang bandana.
I think this is the moment for that.
This borrowed suit and these tears shed for myself. This is who I am. Come on. Yep, he loaded the wrong document.
I pray that your
Oops.
ears remain as open as possible.
But to what, though? What's your point here? You did it? You didn't do it?
I understand that you alone decide this matter.
I can't believe he's not talking about the truck, because if you didn't put your foot on the brake, it was intentional. I mean, we all know it's intentional, but like, what's his story? His ridiculous story. The power's in your hands. He's on repeat.
To determine for yourselves what truth is.
So his opening statement is just to cry and look pitiful. That's it, I guess.
Thank you, sir.
Wow. Okay. Well, he got me. He surprised me. He's got the Bible out. He's got the crying out, but I sure thought he would say something other than this. This is ridiculous. I kind of want to see him call a witness now and see how quickly his demeanor changes.
And do we have their writing materials available?
Well, that was pathetic.
Thank you. Mr. Brooks, you ready to call your first, would be your second witness, actually.
Mr. Monster? He can, Your Honor. He was called a monster.
You need a minute?
Yeah. Look at the deputy. That's me. A little skepticism appears in the courtroom. So this is clearly a performance. It wasn't the one I thought we'd get, given how hostile and violent he was just before the break. But
I'm going to take a
there's two sides to
break.
the story.
I'll rise for the jury, please.
Can he even rise, though, in this emotional state? He's been called a monster and ridiculed. Ridiculous. I remember the first witness he called was a guy that he hit and almost killed the guy, and the guy had to go through multiple surgeries. He was not a supportive witness. I wonder if he'll continue with a similar brilliant legal strategy of calling people that he almost killed but didn't quite kill, who were knocked unconscious and then unable to see what his facial expression was as he ran them over sequentially. Because there is two sides to every story.
That you were looking for, let us know if there's something you need in that regard. And Attorney Apper, if you could perhaps just confer with him over which witnesses are here. I'll step off the bench while you do that, and if someone can just let me know.
It's a great point. Like you take like a case like
I'll be
Jeffrey
back out in,
Dahmer.
like,
On the one hand, you
5
shouldn't have
and
been
10
eating
minutes
people,
unless I'm
but
told
on the other hand, why are they so delicious? You need to consider all the factors. The power is in your hands, and you got to consider that. So he didn't say a single thing that would show that what he did wasn't intentional or wasn't him. I was left about as confused as to what his approach will be as I was at the time he did his interrogation. So if your idea is to say it wasn't intentional, in theory, you'd want to have some narrative there that there's going to be evidence that this person, that the vehicle itself it couldn't be controlled. The horn was beeping, the brakes didn't work, or the person went into some kind of shock or something. I mean, come up with some story. And he didn't do it there. Instead, he's just crying and takes his mask off. So the safety is not important when it's time for him to make his case to the jury that he's such a sad sack. And Jeffrey Dahmer wasn't a crybaby like this guy. In fact, I think I remember a interview of Jeffrey Dahmer where he basically said, look, I should be where I'm at, because if you let me out, I'd be eating people again. I mean, it's not exactly what he said, but he said he has the compulsions and he can't stop them, and he would continue being who he was. Well, that's honest, at least, that he was saying that, and he wasn't a crybaby about it, I suppose, like this guy is. So I don't think this Joker's capable of being embarrassed, but if he were, he should be. So the man talking, at least currently, I guess that's me. just blabbing a little bit while they let him recover his composure from the trauma that he's going through. Yeah, this is a fair point there. Am I thinking that attached is attacked? And yeah, I mean, if you're used to beating people and maiming them and you've been doing it your whole life and they didn't die, and then suddenly all these people start dying from what you did, or, I meant to hurt somebody, I didn't mean to kill them. Some kind of story. I mean, in theory, you'd want a narrative. I think that's true, and there's not one coming off to my head right now, but there probably have been, I'm certain. So this is wild in a different direction than I thought it would be, because, when he left on break, he was worked up and trying to say things in front of the jury and that sort of thing before he did this performance, and extremely angry at the judge. And he had come up with this new control mechanism of, you can ask me, you can't tell me. Nobody tells me what to do because I'm a grown man with grown children. And then she told him to do something. He said, are you asking or are you telling? And she finally said, I'm telling you. And that kind of set him back a little bit, I think, from what he had thought he would get, because I think he was trying to push the judge, as she said, and set boundaries. Control freak, hates women. But he had, I guess, this game plan of coming in and saying, look, just feel sorry for me. There's two sides to every coin, and there's lots of factors, and I've been made fun of and called a monster. And that didn't dial the sympathy for the victims for me down at all and tilt that any more in his direction than it already was. That's pretty weak. So stare at the courthouse analog clock and wait for Darrell Brooks to regain the composure of the horror of having been called a monster. For the simple fact that he's a registered sex offender, beats women every chance he gets, killed 6 people, and injured and maimed scores of others. For those few things that you know about, he's been termed a monster and otherwise ridiculed on social media. That's horrible. It's awful. There are two sides to the coin. He didn't say what this other side was going to be, other than he did declare that this wasn't intentional or quote unquote even thought about, which I think is another way of saying it wasn't planned and wasn't intentional. That's a mistake, because even if he turned on the road the wrong way and accidentally hit the first person, okay, that's one thing. The second person, maybe the third, the fourth, the fifth, the sixth, the 15th, the 18th, the 23rd, the 27th, the barricades, the running away from the vehicle. Eventually, the facts start to run away from your story, and you're just left there looking like an idiot. I guess in the end here, that if he had an attorney, that might be the kind of thing they'd need to say for this guy, because you have to wonder, how does somebody end up like this? But then again, how does somebody end up like some of these other weird killers that are out there? And there's a time for philosophy and a time for holding people accountable for what they do. And to me, this is the latter. And he can talk about his life choices and what his influences were from the sanctity of his jail cell. Because I do think that's it. He said, I'm not going to argue the facts. All right, well, we're having this trial. Why? Now, he did say earlier in the day that he was preparing a counteroffer to an offer the state had made before the trial, I guess, where they were offering that he could plead guilty to this, that, or the other that would have led to whatever it would have led to. And he's preparing a counteroffer for that. It'd be interesting to see what that would be, because that would be his proposal for what he thinks is fair for the situation. And my guess is it involves him not spending but so much time in jail. Well, I think that's kind of what I was just talking about. There was an offer made to him prior to the trial. Now, I think it was 6 consecutive life sentences or something. I'm not sure. I don't know what that offer was, but there was some kind of offer before the trial, and he didn't take it. So he says he's going to make a counteroffer to the state, and the judge said, well, when you do that, let me know so we can make it part of the record. And it's possible that would be public, not necessarily, though. It could just be a document record. He may say something about it later. He said he was almost done with it, but he wasn't completed with it yet. So he knows I suppose he knows he's circling the drain on this trial, which he never had a leg to stand on in the first place, of course. What is he doing? So you can get life without parole for this intentional first-degree homicide, but the lower charges are not life without parole, but there's so many of them it could amount to nearly the same thing anyway. And I think he should have taken that offer, but he didn't want to. Remember, I believe he told his mother told the news that he said, I'll get this trial delayed by firing these lawyers. And
I'm just gonna go with.
He didn't accomplish that.
Gonna work off the list of the people who's here.
Okay.
Let's hope this is true.
All right. You know who you're going to call first? We'll have that person ready.
So I guess he's going to roll with no mask now.
Okay. You want to let us know so that the state can assist with that?
That will be interesting because I would really like to see his full expressions when
Otherwise,
he's
you can just
angry
call
at the judge. I think that would be
when
very
we are
telling.
in front of the jury.
He's
So
fine
the
like
jury
this when
come
he's
out.
calm, but boy, he can look mean when he wants to.
Downstairs and some of them are out here, so it's fine. It just will take a few minutes if they're over in the main courthouse.
I think his mother's on his
Tell
side
the
from the
state the
standpoint that
first
she still
witness to
loves
make
him,
sure
but
they're
in the
right
interview I
outside the
saw,
courtroom.
she said, look, he has mental issues. He should have been on medication. He didn't get the help he needs, but for what he did, he should pay a price, his mother said. It's hard not to feel bad for that, I think.
Okay.
Most likely. Most likely.
Do you want to
Yeah,
give
I
us
think
2 names? and
His
we'll have 2
nervousness
people
over
out there?
COVID has
I
subsided
just want to make it go smoothly, sir. That's all.
after the emotional outburst.
Since I'm working off this list, I wasn't expecting that to be first.
Who do you want to call first? And we'll see if they're here.
Yeah. It works.
Well, sorry.
He's still getting over it. He's choked up.
Apparently, this list is who's here, I'm guessing.
That's my understanding as well.
So what you do is and they don't consent to being called those names, by the way, but you pick one
Not yet.
and then they get sworn in. You ask dumb questions, talk about 2 sides of the coin,
Is there
and you go to
someone you
jail.
expected to be on the list that is not?
Kinda.
Kind of.
Do you want to make a record of that? Do you want me to address it in any way?
Or do you want to call a witness so we can move this trial on?
Not right now.
Not right now.
All right, well, then I'm going to instruct the jury to come out, and then you can call your first witness.
Okay. Hard moments. So anybody watching this out there who thought, being a mass murderer is easy, you can see there are times when the lifestyle is difficult. You're shackled to the floor. You're trying to convince the jury to feel sorry for you, but you don't have a single fact to support that. You're kind of confused about which witness you want to call. It's not the best day. It's no music video shoot with a Mac 10 in your mom's truck. All right, he's back in the game now. He's got himself composed. His 2 brain cells are aligned for the upcoming witness examination. Who's he calling? Let's switch this over. You don't want to see me. You want to see this courtroom action. Let's get that fixed. He's looking up to our Lord and Savior for the jury's benefit. It's just a simple Christian man caught
Thank you,
in a set
everyone.
of
Please be
circumstances
seated.
nobody wants to be in. That's all.
All right, you may call your first witness.
And I think this is
Actually,
true. She
your
has
second
done
witness.
everything possible to give him a fair trial first, as I say, and second, to not create an appeal situation.
Object.
objection is noted. It is sustained. Call your next witness, please.
Reason for the sustain?
Not relevant. And you haven't named a person to go along with it.
The subpoena was accepted, Your Honor.
I'll take the issue up outside the presence of the jury if necessary. Call your next witness, please.
Well, I would like to make an oral tennis motion to dismiss for failure to appear by the plaintiff and for failure to state a claim from which relief can be granted.
I will take that up outside the presence of the jury. Next witness,
The old
please.
12B6.
So is the state not present?
Mr. Brooks, I'm not going to address that any further while the jury's present. I'll take that up outside their presence. Call your next witness, please.
So his second side to the coin, with all the devastation, is to try and create a technical sovereign idiot argument to dismiss the case so that he can go home.
Nicholas Kirby.
Nicholas Kirby.
All right. Nicholas Kirby. Is that a witness who's in the hallway? Do we know?
I don't believe in the hallway, but we will have him brought over, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. It'll be just a moment or two while we wait for that witness to come into the courtroom.
So his brilliant legal theory is that if the state of Wisconsin itself does not conjure into the courtroom and appear on the stand, then he should be allowed to walk free for murder, just after his tearful speech about the harm and suffering that everyone has. He wants to escape any sort of punishment at all. I don't know if they screened for that in the jury selection in this case because I didn't watch any of that. It certainly was a wave, even in here in North Carolina, a lot of it, because it goes, even if they don't encounter the justice system directly, it was, and the person that I ran into, this was an employee, they like it because they think they don't have to pay taxes, so they don't want any taxes withheld because they're sovereign citizens. Of course, it also goes to I don't have to have a driver's license, I can do whatever I want. It got quite popular. I think it's topped out, though. I think he's slightly behind the curve on that. There's probably something cooler coming along.
Sir, would you please make your way to the witness stand? It is up one riser to my right. When you get there, please remain standing. Raise your right hand, and my clerk...
This jury, according to my understanding of Wisconsin law, it's going to need to be unanimous. Well, it would be for guilty, but I think it also has to be unanimous for not guilty, or else it will
Sir,
hang.
please have a seat.
They've got extra jurors. They will select 12 to go in
The
the
first thing I will
deliberations
ask you to do is
at
to
the end.
state your first and last names for the record, and then to spell...
So unanimous either way.
each. Go ahead.
First name Nicholas, last name Kirby, Nicholas Kirby.
Great, thank you. Go
If
ahead.
it's hung, the state could try him again.
Good afternoon, Mr. Kirby. How are you today?
I'm here.
Nice.
What do you do for a living?
Mostly temp work.
Fair.
Do you recall the events of November 21st of
Turn that
2021?
up a little bit. And I ruined it.
All too well.
And what were you doing that day?
What time of the day?
Around
This is Nicholas Kirby.
3:00-ish.
He's not giving me a vibe that he's...
Around 3 o'clock.
Brooks'
I was
best
walking
friend.
with Corey around Waukesha. Earlier, well, yeah.
and made reference to walking with Corey. Who is Corey?
Corey is a friend of Miss Patterson's.
And would it be fair to say that it's also a friend of yours?
Mutual friend, yes.
So he knows the girlfriend,
In
Erica
reference to
Patterson.
Corey?
Yes.
And what were you doing?
Walking around Waukesha, she was waiting for Miss Patterson to get done meeting with Mr. Brooks. You,
Again, not a
At
best friend
3
vibe.
o'clock?
around 3 o'clock-ish. Around that time, I had advised her not to go meet with Mr. Brooks.
You made reference to Mr. Brooks. Who's that?
That would be you.
And why would you say it would be you? That's you.
Because that's your name.
Nice.
And you were privy to that information at the time?
I was privy to the information about you about a week prior to this incident.
About a week prior.
It's always good to call witnesses that
During your
actually
walking
hate you and think
around,
you're guilty of the
What were
crime.
you doing with Corey?
Walking, like literally walking. We went from one store to walking around downtown after Erica told us she was going to be going to meet with Mr. Brooks. That would be you. I had advised her not to do it because it was a bad idea,
Nice.
and I was in fear for her safety.
And this is his witness, ladies and gentlemen. Expert legal strategist and part-time murderer Darrell Brooks has called another witness to the stand who actively
You made
hates him
reference to going
and believes
from one
he's guilty of
store to
any
another. Which
crime
stores
that
are
he's
you referencing?
alleged to have committed.
Dollar General and Speedway.
Did you go anywhere else?
No.
Why would you? That's everything anybody
Did
needs.
you ever go to a park?
No.
You know, he wanted 13 witnesses. You can't help but think he'd just name people to try and get to that number.
You made reference to knowing about a Brooks a week prior to these events, you said?
I didn't know everything about him. Miss Patterson had showed me his rap sheet, if you will, and a picture of him, and that was about it. I had heard prior
Hold on. I'm gonna stop the witness unless you want him to go there, not to discuss what may or may not be conduct of Mr. Brooks prior to November 21 of 2021. With that understanding, go ahead and ask the next question.
I don't think that's the same here, because you could put up somebody.
You
Even the
made
state
reference to
sometimes
a
puts up
picture
inmates
You were shown?
just a photograph
that may
with
have
the rap sheet
serious
behind it.
issues with credibility, but you want them to tell the truth about one thing or the other or something like that, or even a hostile witness.
And at some point, did you and your mutual friend Corey meet up with Miss Patterson?
Yes.
Is
Can
this
you
one of these
recall
factors
where that was?
supposed to make you feel sorry
Corey
for
and
him?
I were in the
It's crazy.
Dollar General area of Waukesha, which is between East and Broadway Street. We were walking towards, or away from Dollar General, towards where Erica had said that she was being assaulted and attacked.
Nice.
And do you recall where that area was?
Yes.
Where was that area?
On White Rock Avenue, right across from White Rock Elementary, in front of the red apartments across from that area.
Remember, he's been dancing on the edge of prior rulings the
Red
court has
apartments.
given to
Yes.
protect him from other allegations
those
of beating
apartments
women
are
and things
called?
like
I
that.
do not know the name. I'm guessing they're called White Rock Apartments.
They don't consent to be
And do
called
you know
White
if there's
Rock
a
apartments.
park in that immediate vicinity?
There is a park there named Frame Park, yes.
Did you ever go to Frame Park?
No.
So in these cases, and the judge has warned him, and
We were in
she
that
made a
area
specific
near the
warning
park where
earlier
the
that
elementary
if
school
you bring
is
this
and the
stuff up
apartments.
about your prior bad acts, it's just going to come in.
About what time did you and your mutual friend Corey meet up with Miss Patterson?
Miss Patterson
she's
called
being a pro.
me and said that she was,
About what time was the question? About what
and I'm
time?
getting to that.
I'll direct the witness answer his question specifically. What time?
Honestly, around what time the parade started. I would have to say like dusk. I honestly don't wear a watch, so sorry, I don't remember the time.
That's fine.
But if I had to put it at a time, I'd probably say about 4:35-ish.
Now remember, the state can lead this witness on cross-examination, something
back
that
up.
infuriated him earlier
Around
on the
what
first
time
witness he
did
called.
You and your mutual friend Corey first hook up that day.
Mutual friend Corey.
I had worked that whole day, so we didn't meet up until I was done working, which was probably about 2:30, 3 o'clock.
And at some point, you received a phone call from Miss Patterson?
Yes,
You yourself?
yes.
And then at that point, what did you do?
When she told me that she was in trouble and she needed help, I went to her aid, which means I took off from where I was near Dollar General and ran to where she told me to go.
Big shout out to Dollar General, the people's store.
And when you got there, what did you see?
When I got there, well, halfway towards White Rock Elementary, I stopped a police officer at a barricade and I let him know that a woman was being assaulted in a vehicle.
And do you recall giving a description of who may have been assaulting your friend?
You
No.
idiot.
Why not?
Because at that point in time, the description didn't matter. I had the identity of the vehicle. So I told them you need to be looking for a red SUV with a woman screaming out of it.
And how
That
did
seems
you
specific
come into
enough.
the knowledge of the description of the vehicle?
Because I saw the vehicle.
At what point did you see the vehicle?
When Corey and I were walking up White Rock Avenue on the apartment building side of White Rock, which would have been my right if you were walking towards the train tracks that cross White Rock. On my left was White Rock Elementary. I walked past the red vehicle, didn't realize that she was in that vehicle. Then Corey and I crossed the street to White Rock Elementary and started walking down the sidewalk, and I heard her scream, Miss Patterson scream.
As you beat her.
I don't remember exactly what she said, but she screamed and I knew it was her, so I walked back across the street and escorted her across the street over to White Rock Elementary.
So he was in a state of rage before
I don't
he.
think that's what
I'm just giving you
Wow.
full description.
Look at this guy.
Let's back up a little bit because that doesn't make sense. You stated that you had a description of the vehicle. Would that be fair to say?
Yes.
The question was, how did you
He is doing
how
some
did you
leading in this,
learn of the description of the
and
vehicle?
they're letting that go. But
At
I
that
agree.
point.
This is a great witness for the
Patterson told me
prosecution.
over the phone that she was in a red SUV. There aren't many red SUVs with young women screaming for help in Waukesha.
That's fair. Not when I'm in town, bro. Then there'd be a lot.
So I'm assuming, because you made reference to stopping law enforcement before arriving to the scene. Would that be fair to say?
Yes.
So I'm assuming somewhere in the time of you stopping the law enforcement officer to report what you were being told, and then actually walking past the vehicle as you said you did, and then hearing this and all this. Did you give a full report to law enforcement?
At the time when someone was in help and needed help immediately, absolutely not. I said there's a woman being attacked in a red SUV, you need to call for backup. Now.
And then you just ran.
And then I
away?
ran towards the person that needed help.
This is his witness. Someone who
Did you at
saw
any
him
time
beating a
give,
woman, reported him to the
Give
police.
a more detailed report that evening?
No, not that evening.
Did you speak with any more law enforcement that evening?
Yes.
Do you recall whom that was?
I do not recall the officer's name that showed up in the SUV coming down White Rock, in the police squad SUV. I don't even know the name of the officers that
I'd
turned
say
in
that's
front
fair
of
here
her,
too. Generally speaking,
and went to the boat launch.
nobody
instead
wants
of
to hear a
where
bunch of
Miss
leading objections
Patterson,
if the thing's going to come out
myself, and
anyway.
Corey
One more
were.
question. but he loves it. Brooks loves it. He's a stickler for
I
procedure.
did speak to an officer.
How did you come into the knowledge of where officers turned and went?
Because me, Erica, and Corey were arguing with Mr. Brooks on the side of the road of White Rock, right in front of White Rock Elementary. And the officer that I had stopped at the barricade when we were coming to Miss Patterson's aid had radioed for backup, and obviously given them description of the vehicle that I had described to them, the red SUV. That backup came, but they went to Frame Park. They did not go to where we were on White Rock.
Any idea why they went to Frame Park if you specifically told them a description of a vehicle and where it was located?
I did not tell them where the vehicle was located because at first incident, Mr. Brooks had taken off in his SUV.
So he's managed to get in front of the jury the fact that he was beating a woman just prior to killing everybody in the parade. I think here, if you don't do some objecting, your clients will be upset too. Like, I've got a lawyer that doesn't object. What's going on here? It's on TV all the time. People expect it. Kind of like strike that for the record.
And is it fair to say that the officer that took your report was writing down what you told them?
Do you mean the officer that I alerted about the trouble in the SUV?
Well, let me back up. On the next day, the 22nd of November.
This guy's so bad.
Did you speak with a detective at that time?
Yes, I did.
And during that interview, were they writing down what you were saying?
I believe so, yes, but I believe it may also have been recorded on tape. I'm not sure.
And do you yourself recall stating to the detective that
I think you're more likely to see a gavel in an auction house
your friend
than
Miss
a
Patterson
courthouse.
was being assaulted somewhere near the area of White Rock School?
Objection, lady. Overruled. He may answer. I'll just caution Mr. Brooks about leading questions since it's his witness.
I do keep one here as an old one here as a prop, though, for purposes of streaming.
Yes, I mentioned that I had received a phone call from Miss Patterson and that she was being assaulted while in a vehicle.
Let's make sure the jury hears
At
that
any
again.
time did you identify White Rock School?
I identified the street, which is named White Rock, the apartment buildings, and the school as well as Frame Park.
So you did identify Frame Park?
I identified the entire geographical area.
I think if it's not raised as a defense, it won't be an instruction or an option for them for a verdict for insane at the time of the crime. But, you know, there's insane at the time of the crime, which is just you didn't know what you were doing was right or wrong or couldn't control your behavior. And then there's competence during the trial. Those, of course, two different things. The fact that he ran away from the scene of the crime after that and was interrogated shortly after makes me think they wouldn't have a viable insanity defense even if they could get somebody to testify to it. I think his attorneys decided not to pursue it, and that may be one reason why he fired them. But he hasn't said he's insane, and I don't think he's raised it as an issue. And not that I know of, at least.
And at some point you said you heard your friend Miss Patterson screaming?
Yes.
And do you recall what she was screaming? I said, do he recall?
As from the question, He's asking, did he hear?
Kind of
So
surprised
you may
that
answer.
DA objected to that. Let him get that
I do
hearsay.
not, yes, she screamed. Do I remember what? She was trying to say, no, I'm guessing it would be help. I'm in trouble.
Darrell Brooks is
I would
assaulting
assume
me.
that's what a person would scream when they're in trouble, is for help.
They shot back to him there for a second. He seemed to be smirking about that. So, women being beaten and calling for help to him is kind of hilarious. It's kind of funny.
Do we still have the exhibit with the footage from the White Rock School available?
The security footage?
The security footage.
Now,
We do.
he has like 70 charges, and some of them would allow them to return a verdict of homicide that's reckless and not intentional. In his ridiculous opening statement, he tried to say it wasn't intentional. So I guess there's that. I don't know that it makes a practical difference in terms of years he's going to get.
There's 3 and 4. Door 1 and door 2 is what I have.
Listening to this jury respond to the COVID query yesterday, I don't think he's getting off from these
3 and
guys.
4 have been received. One is of the White Rock door 1, the other is White Rock door 2. I believe those are the videos you're referring to.
Let's try door 2.
Let's try door 2.
Okay, that's exhibit 4. Let's just put it up for the witness initially, make sure it's the one Mr. Brooks wants. I appreciate the state with their assistance. Can you see that on your monitor, Mr. Brooks? Is this the one you're looking at?
Yeah, I can see it.
I believe there's 2 clips from this, but
So he cried about the factors that would cause you to look at both sides of the story. And this witness is doing that how?
Can you? This one is roughly 7 minutes, so I would need a little bit of it played, if possible.
it's been received, so go ahead. It'll be published, so everyone can see.
Well, before it's published, can you show it to the witness?
That's fine. We'll just play through the witness then.
I'm sorry, I should have said that before.
Yes, you
It's
should have
playing,
said
so
that.
let it go.
But you should have played guilty, so we're well down that river and no paddle. His patented legal maneuver in these type of things has been to freeze the video at one point where you can't see something, but you can everywhere else, and then say, if you look at this specific moment and pretend you don't know anything else, could you know
I'm not sure if
something from this
video
one
you're
shot?
looking for, though.
It might be.
And then
I think it
insist
might
on
be
that.
door 1.
No.
It's exhibit 3.
Could be door 80.
Maybe not. Let's watch. I could be wrong.
I was kind of thinking that too.
Take a look. Of course, none of our statements right now are any kind of evidence. We're just trying to get to the right spot.
Can you
Pause right now at 105.
105? Can you back it up a few seconds? Not 2 or 3, but maybe
The word please,
5
not in his
seconds,
vocabulary.
6 seconds, maybe.
It's at 59 seconds. The witness, it is on the witness stand, by the way, just so you're aware.
Okay.
He's watching it.
Can you play from here?
What do we got? What is this going to be? A video of him stabbing someone?
I don't think it's playing.
It's playing.
Oh, okay. Pause right there. From what you can see in this
Here it is.
video,
He freezes at one frame and then tries to act like he can't tell anything.
do you
That's what
see
got him in trouble
anyone
with the music
get
video
in
earlier.
or out of the vehicle that you see on your screen?
Miss Patterson has just exited the vehicle.
Just
But you
for the
can't see it
record,
now, though.
The video was played. It's exhibit 4 from 56 seconds to a
After she
minute
gets out and
21.
I freeze it after that, you can't see her getting out, right?
I didn't hear that.
So Miss Patterson was the one that exited the red SUV.
You saw someone exit.
Yes.
Can you wind it back?
To what? Again?
You want it back to 56 seconds?
No, to 105, where it was paused the first time.
Okay. Thank you for attempting to do that, Ms. Gussie. It is paused at 1:05. Do you want
So
to
he
break-
often
Yes, I'm
he
sorry.
often will skip past something being shown on video, go past it, and then ask, "Do you see that at this point in the video?" Forget the rest of the video, as if that's some kind of maneuver.
Pause.
Paused again at 1:21.
Oh, okay.
Did you see anyone from, in the video that you're being shown now, from about the 1 minute and 5 second mark to where it's paused right now at 1 minute and 21 seconds? Did you observe anyone get in or out of the vehicle?
I'm going to take back what I said earlier. Apparently, according to this video, she did not exit your vehicle. She was behind the White Rock sign. That's why I did not see her.
Did you see anyone get into the vehicle?
Later on, within the incident,
On-
yes.
On
But-
the video there, you,
But on this
you were
video,
able
though,
to view
where I
right now
paused it,
from the 1 minute and 5 second mark to the 1 minute and 21 second mark. Did you observe anyone get into the vehicle?
No.
Can you publish for the jury?
You want to replay it again?
Yes.
Go ahead.
so assuming this matters, the DA will just fix this on cross-examination because this is a tactic he tries a lot.
Around the 105, around that area.
105, Exhibit 4.
I know we have to wait for the jury, right?
Right,
Okay.
and then you want it to the minute 21 mark again?
Yes,
All right,
if
go
I
ahead.
may.
Go ahead.
You may. All right, so there it is on the top left. And the witness who hates him says that the girlfriend who was being beaten by him was behind a White Rock campus sign, which you can
And-
see.
At that time, were you already en route to where you believe your friend was being assaulted at?
Objection calls for speculation. This defendant has not even put this witness at this location at this time. He's just having him testify about what he's seeing in video.
Yeah, I agree with that. The DA could, we'll have to see X on that, and if it matters, and fix it.
This witness being present at that location. For
Were you-
more information about the incident.
Were you present at this time?
We were on White Rock Avenue, but we were not in the general location of the school as of yet. As of that point in time.
So to your recollection, you didn't see anything that you're seeing right now or on this video. You did not see the day of the incident?
No, I definitely saw Miss Patterson in a red SUV that day.
Did you see?
At this specific time, no. Because I was down the road on White Rock talking to an officer who was manning the intersection of Hartwell and White Rock. And reporting at that time.
Can we play a little bit more?
So he accused Erica of lying about being beaten. Now he calls a witness who saw her being
If it
beaten.
goes to a certain time that, if he would like to ask this witness about that particular time, if the witness saw that, that's fine. But he can't go through each video and say, and ask general questions.
There's only been one video that's been shown.
I'm going to give Mr. Brooks some leeway on this. The video is to be played from this moment, and then Mr. Brooks tell us when you want it to stop.
Okay, what I'm attempting to do for the record, Your Honor, is
For
Just
the
play
record.
Video, and you can ask your question.
All right.
Go ahead.
Can you pause it right there?
Video's paused at 1:38.
By what you are viewing in this video right now, had you and your mutual friend Corey linked up with Miss Patterson at that point?
At this point in time,
Yeah, I mean, I think the
given
video's
what
the
I
best
could see,
evidence,
that
and
was when
especially
Erica
since he
was on
wasn't
the
even there
phone
at that
trying to
point.
get a hold
He
of
doesn't
me.
know anything more about what
We
the
were
video
already
shows
on
than
White Rock
I
at
would,
that
or the
point
jury
in
would, or
time.
anyone else
We were
would
not near
agree.
the school at that point in time, though.
Also agree with this.
So that was when you would, to your recollection, that's when you would say the phone call to you was made?
One of the phone calls, yes, she made multiple phone calls to me. I think probably about 6. I had been having issues with my phone that day, so it had been turned on and off multiple times. The final time that it was turned on was when I picked up her phone call, and she said, "I need help. I'm in trouble. Come help me. I'm being assaulted."
You just
That's
made
when I left.
you just made reference to that point in the vehicle being I'm sorry. Oh, I'm so drained. That point in the video was when you
He's so drained.
made reference to that point in the video being when you received the phone call.
Yes. A phone call out of
A-
multiple from her.
That's fair, a phone call. Would it be fair to say though? Would it be fair to say
The
that,
word fair, getting a workout.
and this is in reference to you saying that you were having issues with your phone that day? Would it be fair to say that you're not sure how many phone calls you had received that day or who they were from?
I only received 51 phone calls on my phone that day. That I
Yeah,
actually
this guy, he doesn't like Brooks.
6 of which belonged to
He doesn't
her.
like him at all, but he's trying to do a
And all
good
around
job.
the same time?
All around the town. She obviously didn't want to get off the phone because no one calls me 6 times in a row unless they need some help.
Can we continue to play from 138?
Go ahead.
I get the idea of the guy on the stand. It does not like people who beat women.
Can you pause right there very quick?
And if you watched
Paused at 1
this young
minute,
lady, I think she
47
was testifying earlier in the case, very soft
Do
spoken.
you see in this video your friend Miss Patterson walking back in the direction that she had just come from?
I see her on the phone talking to someone, which I assume would be me, telling me where
Mr.
she...
Kirby, I need you to answer the specific question that's being asked at the moment, okay?
All right.
Thank you.
Yes, I see her on White Rock on the phone, walking back in the direction she was originally...
Again, Your Honor, I'm
Coming
going to object
from.
to this line of questioning unless the defendant can put this witness there. I don't know what the relevance of this testimony is.
I
Well,
didn't even
the
get to that
exhibit
point.
has been received, it's been published previously.
Absolutely.
So I'm gonna give Mr. Brooks some leeway here, overruled.
At,
Good
I would
stuff
like
for the
you to
record
get
about the
to where
leeway
you
and all
need to
that.
go, though.
that was the next question. At
But
this
that was going to
point
be the next question.
in the video, had you yet come into a range where you and your mutual friend Corey, had you yet come into a range where you can see Miss Patterson at that point?
Corey was the one that spotted her first.
Could you yourself see her at that point?
I heard her scream. That's what caught my attention.
It's like he's trying to
And
impeach his
you
own
made
witness.
reference to that scream being heard from inside the vehicle. Would that be fair to say?
And so far, this
Yes,
testimony is just great for the
because that's
prosecution. Like,
where she
why did you
was
call
when
this
she
guy?
called me.
Why did you call him? They didn't
And
call
I
him.
was still on
He
the phone
called
with
him.
her while going down White Rock Avenue. Even while I was talking to the officer, I said, "I'm on the phone with her right now. I'm trying to figure out where she is. Can you please call for backup?" So we continued down White Rock to look for Miss Patterson.
Let the record reflect he indicated an oversized phone.
Would it be fair to say that in the phone call you received, she told you where she was at, and that's the area that you were generally responding to with your mutual friend Corey?
Miss Patterson doesn't know Waukesha. I knew the area she was talking about because I live in that area.
Would it be fair to say that you just testified to
It'd be fair to say
When you
you're
have the
being owned
interaction
and
with law
dunked on
enforcement.
constantly.
that you stated you're on the phone with her right now trying to figure out where she was?
Let the record
So would it
reflect
be fair to say
Mr.
at
Brooks
that point
indicates a
you didn't know
normal
where she
size phone.
was?
I knew that she was on White Rock. I didn't know exactly where or how far down on White Rock she was at that point in time. At that specific time, I did not know. It wasn't until I seen a red SUV parked in front of the apartment buildings on White Rock that I figured that might be the one that she was in. It was Corey who spotted her across from the road.
We're paused at the 1 minute and 47 second mark of this video. It's a little hard to see houses and things of the like. Can you point out in what area the red apartment you're referring
Not
to
sure what he's
might
trying
be?
here either.
It's a
It's
touchscreen.
a touch screen, so you can.
Your intent matters for crimes where the intent is an element, like the intentional homicide versus the reckless homicide. But for insanity, you know, at least in the U.S., which I think this law may have come from England, the
This is the
Norton
entrance-
rule
this is the
basically
entrance to
is
White
you
Rock
can't
Elementary. Across the
comprehend
street,
that there's a
up
right or wrong
maybe
situation going on, or you're not in
20,
control
30
of
feet, there is
yourself
an
because of your
intersection
mental
leading from an
disease or
apartment
defect.
building to the White
Can't
Rock
control your
campus.
actions,
That would be up here.
hallucinating, or
General.
the mental defects you have is causing you to not understand right or wrong. And of course, he ran from the scene here. Looks pretty bad for that.
Would it
So,
be
so
fair
I'm not
to
sure what he's
say
up to either.
That from
We just know there are
Where
many
we're paused
factors
at
you have
in
to consider, he
video,
says. He did say he was going to argue it wasn't intentional, but
vehicle parked
what's
in
the
that
point?
general area?
What's the point of calling a witness that testifies that you were beating a
Literally
woman
just
just
played
before
the
you ran
video
over
of
all
the
these people? It
vehicle.
hardly
Answer the question,
supports
sir.
your case that you're a nice guy who
No, you
accidentally
cannot
killed a
see it
bunch of
from this
people.
angle.
Can we please clear the?
Yeah.
What? He used please. All right. I won't forget that he did that. And he said, thank you.
Would it be fair to say that where the video is paused now, that Miss Patterson is not, or who you identified as Miss Patterson is not inside of a vehicle?
She is not inside of a vehicle in this video, no.
Can we play it from 1 minute and 47 seconds?
Go ahead.
He definitely, to me, seems like somebody who could fly into a rage and has done it before.
Pause there. At this point, had you come into a range where you can see Miss Patterson at that point?
No.
The record video's paused at 2:13.
I'm sorry.
It's all right.
13.
Keep going.
And you made reference to your friend Corey spotting her first.
Yeah.
Is that correct?
Corey had said that she thought she had seen her across the street, and we looked and we crossed the street
So
once.
yeah,
and
unless
we
he's
crossed
trying to
the street
dispute
back
Erica's account that he was beating her, what the hell is the point of all this?
That wasn't until later when the incident with Mr. Brooks took part, or took place.
And at this point, walking with your friend Corey, had she alerted you to spotting Miss Patterson at that point?
She said she's over here. She must be out of his car now or something. She said something along the lines of that. So we went across the street and there was Miss Patterson hobbling down the street with a boot on her leg.
You made reference to your friend Corey saying she must be out of his car now. Do you know, as you were walking with your friend Corey, do you know if she observed Miss Patterson being in a vehicle at that point?
She was with me when the phone call came. So I assume that when someone tells me that they're in a vehicle, then they are in a vehicle.
Nice.
It does not mean that they would be in a vehicle by the time I got there. I was on foot.
This guy has
And I
done a great
wasn't
job
walking, I was
testifying.
running.
again, in theory, he's essentially a hostile witness.
Can you play it from 2:13?
And you think with the stupid opening statement he gave, how does this witness advance any of that at all? There's no coherence here.
Hold on, let it play.
Okay. Pause right there. Is that 409?
Yes.
Would it be fair to say we see some individuals walking right here? Are you able to see that in the video?
Yes, I can see it.
At that time, had you come close enough to the scene where you can observe any individuals in that area?
I don't remember the people that were in that area. I was only focused on the one, and that was the one in danger.
Could you
So no.
Could you at that point observe Miss Patterson?
From my stand,
Yeah, I
from
mean,
my
what is
on the
any of
street,
this?
from where I was,
At
What-
that time,
what is
yeah,
any
where
of
it's-
this?
Where it's paused at now?
during a parade, no.
Can we clear the circle? Thank you. We observed at some point Miss Patterson crossing over to the opposite side of the road.
Yes.
Did you see that?
Yes.
Any
I was
eye-
on the phone with her at that point.
Could you observe from coming down White Rock? Can you observe that from where you were at that time?
I was at the intersection of White Rock and Hartwell when she said that she was by some red apartment buildings.
Could you see her from that position?
No, not from that far down.
Can we play it from 409?
Go ahead.
Pause right there.
Pausing at 4:18.
418, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
You see the two individuals here?
Yep,
Do you know who those individuals are?
that's me and Miss Corey.
There it is.
So at 409 to 418, you were able to come into view of Miss Patterson at that point?
No. I wasn't. I was on my phone trying to call her back to find out where she was.
Can we clear this circle? Thank you. So at this point right here where the video is paused,
It's a murder trial, so it gets a
4:18,
lot of leeway, but this is pointless, it appears.
you weren't able to observe Miss Patterson on White Rock Avenue at that point?
Judge, you asked to answer.
And plus, what
Well,
difference does it make?
Overruled, the witness may answer.
I was not looking ahead of me. As you can tell by the video, I was looking at my phone trying to call Miss Patterson back because she was not answering her phone. That scared me. So
Yeah,
I
he
told
was worried
Corey
she was
to
being
keep an eye
beaten to
out
death.
and look for her as I tried to keep calling her. When I looked up and we got past the White Rock Elementary School sign, that was when I seen her.
Would it be fair to say that judging from the video, the White Rock, are you referring, let me back up. Are you referring to the sign right here that says White Rock Campus?
I'm referring to where the end of the school building itself meets the driveway or the road that's there. There's a turnoff road.
I apologize. Can we take that X from next to the White Rock Campus sign? So can you point to exactly what you're referring to?
Where that intersection is, where I just drew that little X, that intersection cuts across from the other side of White Rock to the other side and leads to the
I'm not sure about
leads to a
that.
road, but also there's
If
a
it
frame
is,
park
then this
area
would,
there
I suppose,
and
make a lot of
people's boat
sense.
launch there
So, good point.
somewhere. I don't know.
He's got so many charges.
And
I haven't paid attention to the ones except
at
for
that point,
related
you
to
were
the
able
parade.
to
He does have the
observe
bail
Miss
jumping
Patterson.
charges that
I
was
observed
discussed
her
this morning.
walking when Corey had told me that she had seen her. And so we grabbed her and started to leave to turn around. At that point in time, an officer was coming to Frame Park because of the report that I had given.
So you observed Miss Patterson walking and not inside of a vehicle?
At that point in time, no.
No, as in,
She was
Yeah,
not
that
in the
would make
vehicle
sense.
at that point in time when we finally came upon her.
I'm not sure. I'll check that later to see what all the charges are.
so when, if at any time did you observe Miss Patterson inside of a vehicle?
When she was going back into his vehicle to get her things or whatever it was that she was trying to pull out of his car, her phone or something or whatever.
Can we play the video from 418?
Go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry. Can we clear the X?
Continuing to
Sorry
play
about
from
that.
418, it's at 421, but go ahead.
See if there's anything to this video. So far, it hasn't mattered at all. So there they are, crossing
right
the
here.
street.
Is it fair to say it stopped at 4 minutes and 38 seconds? Is it fair to say from the video that two people right there are crossing the road?
Yes.
And do you know the identity of those two people?
That's me and Miss Corey.
Would it be fair to say that at that time you observed Miss Patterson?
That was when I first noticed the red Jeep, or red SUV, whatever you want to call it, across the street. We had zigzagged up White Rock, going from one side to another looking for Erica. When we ended up on this side, the red SUV was parked in front of the apartment buildings. There was a tree here, and Miss Erica came from the passenger side of the vehicle around the back. That's when I heard her yell something. That's when I went over.
You made reference to Miss Patterson coming from around the vehicle.
Coming from the passenger side, so I had assumed that she had just gotten out of the vehicle.
Do you know that for sure?
If I didn't see her earlier when I was on White Rock, or a vehicle earlier on White Rock, how could I know?
Did you see her in the vehicle at that time?
I seen her come from around the vehicle. I am not actually sure if she was in the vehicle at that point in time.
Thank you.
I was just going by what she said over the phone.
Okay.
So
Yeah,
my assumption is
because
that
she said I was in the car.
vehicle.
All right, next question.
Of course, he wants to paint her as a liar.
If it pleases Your Honor, do we have a better view of this point in particular?
I don't know.
Maybe on Exhibit 3 might be a better view of
Well, the judge isn't going to pick a video for you.
this.
If you have a
Particular part?
specific spot to direct the state to, then I will have them do that, but
Can we view Exhibit 3?
do you have a specific spot to direct the state to on Exhibit 3?
I'm not sure. It's been, I don't know how long since we viewed that exhibit. I don't know how long it is.
And what is the point? I guess the point being she just lied about being in the vehicle and being beaten by this guy. I don't know what he's trying to do. And, well, again, I don't know. This guy's not going to concede that she was lying. He's not going to do that. In fact, if she said earlier that she was in the truck being beaten by this guy, makes that more believable. He's doing a good job of trying to look less evil with the mask off. That was a calculated decision. I'd like to see him when he's mad at the judge. Some of his expressions then.
I'm just reviewing my notes. If there's a specific spot that you recall, I might be able to direct the state to that. But you'll have to give me a little more information.
Okay. I think that's why I was stated about the length of the video. I'm pretty sure I would know the exact spot. I don't know how long that video is. It's towards the end of it. I know that for sure.
Okay.
Can you ask your next question? You need to be able to tell the state with more specificity which part of which exhibit and at what point.
Well, I know the exhibit, the exhibit would be 3, and the spot, judging on the length of the exhibit, would be towards the end of the exhibit.
And you sure it's exhibit 3?
That would be
4.
that would be White Rock Door 1, correct?
That's my understanding. All right, so we're done with this exhibit?
Yes.
All right, turn that off. Just
The judge
And
is
then
being
just-
turned into the exhibit coordinator.
ask the state to just preview to the parties. We'll see if we can find it quickly on exhibit 3.
Yes. So it's
Looks like it's 4.
yeah, about 4:14, a little
Minutes.
over 4 minutes. So
It's
I would say
it's different in a criminal
around
case.
about
You know, you've got certain constitutional rights in play that are different than a civil
30-ish mark.
case. So there's been no specific
if that helps.
Well, we're gonna
declarations on time so far, but the case has run pretty well. I mean, hell, it's in the second half of the case now already. So to me, it seems slow because it's inefficient,
I would
but it's
say
actually
take it
gone
back
pretty
to about
rapid for a case like this, I
3:15.
think.
This is the footage though you're looking
Yes,
for?
this is the footage. Yes.
Just in the old days, still probably, but in the old days, you could just say objection, maybe a word or two, but if you could get the case
where you wanna start?
vibe just right, you could start doing speaking objections, and of course there you're really speaking to the jury, but judges normally don't let you
Go
do
3
that
minutes.
unless they're kind of annoyed at the other side.
This is definitely the video.
All right, this has previously been received. Why don't we watch it from this point forward and then ask your questions?
But before it's played,
Don't hit that yet. Sorry. Turn it
wait
off.
for the jury. Or
Go ahead, tell me what you want to do. That was a mistake on our part.
So it's interesting if they
Sure,
did charge
you
him
and the
with
witness at the
abuse
moment.
yeah,
of his
yeah,
girlfriend in this
that's fine
case, it
right
seems
now.
like a lack of focus to the main event,
Well, I don't
but
want to have to play it twice for
They
the
wanna put
jury.
it all
So if
together.
we're going to question him, let's show it. It's already been admitted.
So should it just publish
Why
now
don't
or
we
just?
publish it from this point, play it, and you can ask the witness questions regarding it, okay?
Okay.
All right, so it's at 3 minutes. It's play about 1 minute and 14 seconds to get from this point to the end.
So are we publishing or?
Yes, we'll publish
Oh.
now. Jury, if you can let me know when it's on the monitors in the jury box. That may take a little longer.
Do you right now it's paused at 3 minutes. This
I tend to
does
think one
looking
would
at
make
this video
a difference
right
in
now,
this case, of course, other
bring
than
any
maybe it would go a little
recollection of
faster, but
that
then the lawyer will
day back
probably
to you?
line up some experts and other things that
Yeah.
would take a long time, so it probably nets out. This is
And
fairly annoying, of course.
using the touch screen, can you identify if you see yourself in this video, can you identify where you are?
I'm right here.
And can you identify who the other person is that's shown on the exhibit?
That's Miss Corey.
The John Madden
You
Monday
can
Night
play
Football
from
play-by-play.
Clear that first and then
Oh,
play.
I'm sorry.
There we go.
Well,
On screen.
before we
Get
play.
that out of there.
Could you see from right there where you are? Can you see Miss Patterson where her position is at that point?
No.
Can we play it from right there?
We had seen, a video earlier where he stops the truck and gets out and has an argument with people. I think this is it here.
Can we pause? It's fair to say that we can see you and Miss Corey running towards the area of the vehicle that just stopped. Is that
Yes.
fair to say?
Yes.
And where was Miss Patterson at this time, if you recall?
At that point in time, she had met up with Corey. Corey had walked ahead of me. And
So this is the video, I
her
think,
and
where he
I were
gets
looking
out,
for her.
has an
I
argument with him.
didn't
He's
see
just
her right
stopped his
away.
vehicle
Corey
in the middle
did.
of the road. Some other car comes,
And
sees
she
what's going on,
said
doesn't want
she
any of
just
it, does a
told me she's in
U-turn,
a red car.
and gets out of
So
there.
that's what we were
watched that the
looking
other
for.
night.
At that time, was Miss Patterson inside of the vehicle?
I do not recall. But what I do recall is the owner of the vehicle getting out of the vehicle, and that became my primary concern.
Yeah, don't say that. That's bad for me.
Go fast a little bit. We observed the two, you and Miss Corey running towards the area of the vehicle. Why such the urgency?
Miss Patterson is a mutual friend of ours. She said she was in trouble. I don't play around when people are in trouble.
Can we play it from, it's paused at 3 minutes and 8 seconds. Can we play a little bit of it from there?
Go ahead.
The guy on the stand at Brooks are like
Pause right
polar
there.
opposite people. Notice he has the hoodie on now,
Can
okay?
you see Miss Patterson?
Remember, he
it's
made a
paused
big
at
deal of,
3
I didn't have a
minutes
hoodie on
and
when I left the
11
car,
seconds.
when I left
Do
my
you see
mom's
Miss
house,
Patterson in
but here he is
this
with the hoodie.
video? Let's
Yes.
pause that right now.
Yes.
Is she inside the vehicle?
No, she is not.
Had you seen her before that?
Corey had spotted her, not me, before that. She did.
But it is fair to say that you're also in the area at
I
that
am
time, correct?
not in this general frame, no. I'm
Not
actually outside
not
of the
the
frame.
not the video, but you are present on the scene. Would that
Oh,
be fair to
yes.
say?
Yes.
I'm still not sure why he called this guy just
And
to
what
try to
happened at this
rebut
point?
him
If you
I-
recall.
on testimony
At
he
this
called
point,
him to
there was a
give.
physical altercation between Mr. Brooks and Miss Corey and Miss Erica. I was more worried about Miss Patterson being hurt, so I went for her to get her out of the way. I stepped between them as best I could, and I told Mr. Brooks he needs to leave. He needs to get out of here. Does not belong out here.
Do you recall if there was a knife involved at that time?
No, that is a miscommunication, and I will clarify that. The Monday.
Wait.
Hold on, there's not a question yet.
Okay.
He'll ask the questions. I appreciate that, but just answer the questions that are asked at this point. Go ahead.
Did you at any point during this altercation,
Okay.
did you observe Miss Patterson get back into the vehicle at that point?
I observed her reaching into the vehicle for something. I don't know if she was grabbing a purse or something or whatnot. She was grabbing something of her personal property out of the vehicle
Did you
Right.
observe
while
her?
this was going on.
Did you observe her get into the vehicle?
No.
Can we play it from 3 minutes and 11 seconds, please?
Go ahead.
Pause it right there. Did you see yourself come into the frame in this vehicle at that
Yes.
point? Would that be you there?
Yes.
It would be fair to say that you had some type of jacket on, or a black jacket.
At one point,
that
yes.
evening? What happened to your jacket at that point?
That jacket hit the ground as soon as Mr. Brooks started going for the two women.
Nice.
So you threw the jacket off?
Mm-hmm.
Is that a yes?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
And what was your reason for throwing your jacket off?
Well, if the court don't hate me for it, I'm just gonna say it's a good thing that there were two women in my way at that point in time.
Nice.
And what do you mean by that?
That means when my jacket comes off, trouble's gonna happen.
Nice.
Especially if you're trying to assault
It's a samurai jacket.
in front of me.
So that gesture was an aggressive gesture.
Oh, that was a completely focused gesture.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you did make reference to, let me back up. Would it be fair to say that you just made reference to trouble following you throwing off your jacket?
No, not trouble following me.
Well, maybe that's the wrong way to put it. But
It is the wrong way to put
I'm
it.
confused by your
Trouble.
question.
Excuse me?
Can you rephrase your question?
Oh, I will. I'm sorry about that. You made reference to there being trouble when your jacket comes off. Is that fair to say?
Yes.
Would it be fair to say that
Brooks doesn't understand this guy. He's like, I was just going
That
to
could be.
beat women again. Why would you have a problem with
perceived
that?
as an aggressive gesture?
You mean as in...
Objection. Calls for speculation. How it's perceived calls for speculation.
Sustained as to the form of the question.
If you recall, who gave the report that there was a knife involved?
That was not put into a report. That was a miscommunication between me and an officer. I had been knifed earlier that week and had 12 stitches in one hand.
Dang. It's a rough town.
I said, now I have a friend being assaulted and I need backup here. So when the police stopped and asked if there was a knife, I said, no, there was never any knife. I didn't have a knife. Miss Patterson, Miss Corey didn't have a knife. You didn't have a knife.
Did you get a chance to see the report that was taken by law enforcement from you?
This is so pointless.
Well, I'm the one. You mean, you're talking about when I was on White Rock going to Miss Patterson?
No. The day of November 2020, the day of November 20.
He's so
November
drained.
22nd, 2021. You made reference already to being interviewed by a detective, correct?
Yes.
And had you, after that, seen that report from that day?
No.
Wonder which DA's got the CX on this. Nobody seems to be very worried about it.
And you stated that the reporting of the knife was a miscommunication, you
Yes.
referred to it as?
Yes.
So he called a witness who confirmed
Did you
him
at
showing
any
up
time
in the red SUV
tell
with the
law
gray
enforcement that there
hoodie
was a
on.
knife
That
involved in the
earlier he
altercation?
said you didn't
No.
see me wearing that.
Do you know if your
So he
friend
can argue
Corey
with this guy.
told law enforcement that there was a knife involved in the altercation?
No, she did not.
Do you know if your friend Miss Patterson told any law enforcement that there was a knife involved in the altercation?
She did not as well. No.
But the judge has a lucky rabbit's foot somewhere because that opening statement could have gone completely bonkers and been a real breakdown in the trial. And I thought that might be where he would pull some shenanigans about his sovereign idiot stuff and all that. He didn't. He went with the crybaby thing about, look how bad this is for me. Sure, it's pretty bad for people who ran over and people who were maimed and mutilated, but look at me. Look at me.
How
I've been
long
called a monster.
before, the incident on November 21 of 2021 had you known Miss Patterson up until that point?
Probably maybe a week and a half, 2 weeks.
I have to give him credit. He's getting his questions as convoluted as a fresh attorney would.
I want to back up to the phone call that you received from Miss Patterson.
Okay.
When she called you, did she give you a name of whoever may have been assaulting her?
She didn't have to. She was meeting one person that day, and I knew exactly who he was because she had showed me his picture and rap sheet prior.
Nice. Rap sheet.
Her child's father, the father of their 15-year-old daughter, is who she was meeting up with that day. And I told her multiple times, it's not a good idea. I have a bad feeling about this.
This dude needs to get focused. I know he said he does temporary labor, but he's mentally on the ball.
Do you recall stating, well, actually, you testified to that here today. Do you recall stating that you walked past the red SUV that was parked?
Yes.
Would it be fair to say from the two exhibit videos that we watched today that you in fact did not walk past any SUV?
I most definitely walked past an SUV that was red on White Rock Avenue. Whether or not it was your specific SUV, it was still a red SUV. Up until this point, knowing Miss Patterson, I didn't know anything about the father of her child. I didn't know anything about his background except for what she showed me over the phone. Anything about his vehicle description, why would she need to tell me that?
Is it fair to say that the video doesn't show you walking past any red SUV?
If the
Is
video,
that fair to say?
If the video proves that, then yes.
But it doesn't. It's no comprehensive video of where this guy walked.
In the report that in the report that was taken from you by detective,
Lord help us.
do you yourself recall stating that the alleged defendant tried to punch and push you?
The alleged defendant being you? Yes. Attempted to.
Would it be fair to say from the video that it doesn't show you being pushed, or
No, it does not. It shows me pulling two women away from the situation.
any reason why you would state to detectives that the alleged defendant attempted to punch and push you?
Probably because there were three different people's fists flying, and I was just trying to get the people that I cared about out of the way of danger. So if my statement to the detective is off a little bit after watching a bunch of people get run over, I can understand why.
Boom.
So you were at
Nuclear
the parade that
bomb.
day?
I was not at the parade that day. I was in the area
So
trying
how
to get back to my house.
so how can you watch people being run over if you weren't at the parade that day?
Imagine
wasn't
anybody
attending the
believing he
parade.
cares one thing about anybody he killed
I
or
was
hurt that
in
day.
the area
Look
that
at
the
him.
parade route was in. My street is the parade route.
Exactly.
Did you see anyone injured that day?
When
During the parade?
Yes, after I walked back through that area,
You saw someone get injured?
I saw a red SUV take off like a bat out of hell down Main Street
Did
and
you
go
see?
through a crowd of people.
The question was, did you see this take place?
With my own freaking eyes. Yes. How many times do I have to say yes for you
Thank
to
you.
understand it?
This guy's awesome.
YES spells yes.
Boom.
I'm sorry, Your Honor, I don't know how to.
Are you moving to strike the last response?
Yeah.
The jury will disregard the last
Look at
response.
this guy. Look at this guy.
I'm going to remind both of you, please answer the questions that are asked. And follow-up needs to take place. Either Mr. Brooks or the state will ask.
Is it fair to, well,
So he
in
saw these
reference
people get
to
hurt,
the
and this guy's grinning. Oh, I don't know how to
Exhibit 3
strike that,
video
Your Honor. This
that-
guy's
that
kind of
just-
bothered about people getting murdered and
Talking
killed.
about the one by the elementary school.
yeah, the one
Exactly.
the one that we just
Exactly.
which would be Exhibit 3.
A flaw is he's incapable of
fair
understanding
to
what it is
say
like to
from
care
that
about
vehicle-
anyone else, and the guy on the stand, temporary laboring guy who deserves immediate full-time employment in a serious position.
That video, is it fair to say
Now he's being flippant.
that
Look at him.
Video that in fact there are not 3 people throwing punches. That'd be fair
The
to
witness
say.
is awesome.
There are 3 people throwing hands in that video, Erica, Corey, and Mr. Brooks. Not myself. If you watch the video, you will see 3 pairs of hands go up towards one another. Whether one is stepping in to pull someone away from another or not, hands are being brought
Yeah,
up.
it's not fair to say. It's not fair to have to answer questions from a murderer, but you have to. But it isn't fair. So no, it's not fair to say. And Brooks making all these mocking expressions and things. I hope he leaves the mask off. I think it will help show his true nature, if anybody needs education on that. But the witness, great job. Again, if this is the kind of guy who's temporary labor in that town, industry needs to move there immediately.
Do you recall where you went after that altercation?
You mean where me and the 2 girls went? Where me and Miss Patterson and Miss
where-
Corey went?
Where you and
We
your 2
started.
friends went? Yes.
We started walking back. We turned to walk back the direction we had came, so taking White Rock to Main Street, and then cutting through the neighborhood there to get over to where the women's
this guy
shelter
has the
was.
benefit
That was where we
Of telling
were
the
going
truth,
at that
which is
point in time. However,
always a helpful tool.
things took a drastic turn when the red SUV that I have described multiple times went down the opposite direction of White Rock Avenue, across the railroad tracks and the intersection of Perkins and White Rock, and then turned back around and came back down. That is what you saw in the video here when the red vehicle pulled up on the school side of White Rock. After the altercation between Miss Patterson, Mr. Brooks, Miss Corey, and myself, the 3 of us, Miss Patterson, Miss Corey, we started to leave. I told Mr. Brooks, you need to get out of here. The police have been called. You need to leave. You need to leave now. You do not belong here. I did not expect.
Can you strike everything that's not pertaining to the question that was asked?
Actually, I'm just describing the entire event in its entirety.
I understand. I'll strike the response as being non-responsive to the question. The jury is to disregard it. Re-ask your question again.
Okay.
Yeah,
Do
it's
you
real
recall
hilarious when he
when
talks
you
about the SUV going down the parade route, killing everybody. That's hilarious.
After the altercation.
We started to head back in the direction of the women's shelter where they lived, where they were staying at the time.
Do you recall at any point during your travels to the women's shelter, as you referred to it, do you recall at any time coming into contact with another law enforcement officer?
Within that point in time, no. Except for the one that pulled out of Frame Park.
Do you recall at any time being stopped by a law enforcement officer on your way back to the women's shelter?
We were stopped partway down White Rock, and that was when I had told the officer, because he wouldn't get out of his SUV, I had let him know that they need to be on the lookout for a red SUV that took off back down White Rock towards Perkins Avenue, or street or road, whatever it is. The officer had asked me if there was someone with a knife, and that was when I held up my left hand, and I said no. I said I have 12 stitches from a knife injury on this hand, but this is what you need to be looking for, is this red SUV. And I'm guessing that's where the miscommunication of the knife came in, and I don't know where that officer went after that.
And would it be fair to say that that was the second law enforcement officer that you had spoke with that day at that time?
Yes.
So Brooks trying to mock this
You
witness
are
with his
referring
expressions
to
and
November 21st.
Correct.
Okay.
makes me dislike him more than even yesterday. That's a tough
During
maneuver.
during that interaction with the second law enforcement officer, do you yourself recall stating that a black guy just assaulted my friend?
No.
Any reason why the officer would report that?
Objection, calls for speculation.
Yeah, how would he know?
Sustained. Calls for speculation.
So this witness saw him in a fight with a woman, saw his truck turn around, saw him run over the people in the parade. It's like the greatest witness ever. Can't believe he wasn't in the
altercation?
state's case.
I ripped open 3 stitches on my hand, but that was more so from pulling Miss Corey away from Mr. Brooks so we could get out of there.
Did you report to any law enforcement? Well, I guess that would refer to the second law enforcement officer that you spoke with. Did you report that to that officer?
No. Because at the time I didn't notice it. I didn't notice my hand was ripped open again until I got home.
So it would be fair to say that you don't know how those stitches opened up. Would that be fair to say?
No, I'm pretty sure I know how they opened. My stitches got caught on the zipper on Corey's backpack. That's how the stitches were ripped out of my hand when I was trying to pull her away from Mr. Brooks and intervene between her, Mr. Brooks, and Miss Patterson.
This guy
Knowing
is
a little bit
awful.
about stitches, would it be fair to say that a wound that was stitched being reopened would cause a little bit of pain? Would that be fair to say?
Objection, relevance.
Grounds.
Sustained. Relevance.
I think Brooks, here watching what you guys are saying back and forth, is pretty close to mocking this
Did
witness
you notice any blood from the stitches?
with
being
his
reopened?
expressions and
Didn't feel anything until I actually
Tone of
looked
voice.
at it when I got home. 12 stitches coming across my thumb in kind of like a fish hook type pattern. It was the 2 over here that ripped open and the 1 up here.
And of course, this is,
The 1 up
you know,
here.
pointless to debate him
Just for
on
the
this.
record, he's holding his left hand. He had his thumb out, extended almost like an L, but with the other fingers almost like a C, and he was pointing to his left thumb near, I would say, the middle of the thumb, and then the curve of the thumb where on the inside where it goes up toward the index finger. Sorry, I have to make a
Now-
record of
No,
all.
that's just fine.
Go ahead.
So was it 2 stitches that opened or 3?
Objection, relevance.
Grounds.
Overruled. He may answer, but then move on.
It was
Yeah,
3.
then move on. I don't know. I don't think Brooks would.
And do you recall what time you made it home that evening?
Absolutely not.
I don't think he would ever make a good lawyer.
Was it immediately
He puts on a
after?
veneer of sounding like he knows what he's talking about, but his points are
No,
stupid,
I
without logic,
Took the girls back
pointless,
to the
no
shelter,
strategy, none of
and
the
then I
critical
started
thinking
running
skills
back towards Main Street
that are useful.
to try and see if I could avoid the parade
I
traffic.
agree he's trying to put on the appearance, but to me
And,
that's as deep as it gets.
That's when I saw the red SUV go down Main Street.
See these kind of expressions and things he does after the witness gives an answer? That's essentially mocking the witness. As if he's lying whenever he gives this answer. And again, this is the guy on the stand is a guy who tried to save a woman who was being attacked and then witnessed this idiot get in his vehicle, his mom's vehicle, of course, lives in somebody's basement, spin around and go down the street and then run through the parade, kill everybody because he was in a state of anger. So, yes, mock this guy. He'll be carried off to jail hopefully soon, and then he'll talk about how he deserves an appeal and this, that, or the other, and maybe he'll get some idiots from a legal clinic who will help him formulate that. Hopefully not.
With, your women friends after you had made it home that evening?
Yes.
Did at any time you indicate to them that you...
Hold on, let him finish the question. He was asking what he
Strike
indicated to
the
them.
question. I thought that's what I said.
You can ask your question. That's what I thought you were saying too.
God.
Did you yourself at any time indicate to your female friends that you had sustained injury during the altercation?
No.
Objection of relevance.
Overruled, his answer may stand.
In the opening statement he made, he didn't accept being anything. He kind of just said that it wasn't intentional. He cried the entire time, said there are other factors, two sides to the story, look at the other side of the coin. He never recited any fact that I saw about anything. And then he broke down and sobbing, and they had to dismiss the jury so he could collect himself. And he talked about how he'd been called a monster and how bad it was for him. And then he calls this guy who saw everything and tries to mock him while he's on the stand. So that's his opening statement to me was a surprise. I thought he would go more bonkers, but it was as fake as everything else he's done.
In the time that you had known Miss Patterson up until that day of November 21st of 2021, had you yourself ever heard Miss Patterson refer to the alleged defendant by a different name?
Objection of relevance.
Grounds.
Overruled, the witness may answer if he knows.
No. You mean like an alias or something?
A different name.
Well, okay, that could, a nickname, an alias, I mean, let's be specific here.
Did Ms. Patterson ever refer to him with another name, if you recall?
Not that I can personally recall, no.
All right, thank you.
This could be true.
Do you
It wouldn't
recall
surprise
if-
me.
To your knowledge, was your friend Miss Corey, as you referred to her, do you recall her stating that she was injured during the altercation?
She did tell me that she I believe she like hurt her finger or her fingernail or something like that, but I don't think it was relevant to the incident that had happened.
What do you mean by you don't think it was relevant to the incident that happened?
Objection of relevance.
Sustained is to the form of the question.
And really, what is any of this? The DA's table. Nobody seems to be working hard on a cross exam. This is interesting. He saw
No further questions?
so much. Okay, well, that's it.
Before I
You didn't ask me if
decide
you saw the
whether to
plaintiff in the
process
room or anything
time,
stupid.
How long do you believe it will be?
0 minutes because I have no cross.
No cross.
Thank you.
That's why they weren't working on it.
And we're gonna take a break. Give me a second. I'll rise for the jury. Let me excuse the jury for a second.
So no gigantic arguments occurring while the jury's on the way out. He suddenly knows how to behave. Which is good because he knows how to behave. He just chooses when he doesn't want to. He's not out of control. It's just his perception of what he's allowed to do and how he's allowed to behave. Look at him. It's funny now. See, suddenly everything's hilarious. Oh, you see that, right? He's literally laughing about something. Probably trying to let the guy see him laughing and mocking
All right,
people.
thank you. You may be seated. You may step down,
This is
sir.
why I think the mask off is very good.
And I presume he may be released from his subpoena, Mr. Brooks? You're done questioning him?
Yeah, I don't think he's no longer needed.
All right, you are released from your subpoena, sir. All right, let's take about a 15-minute
Look at Brooks here, people.
break. Anything we need to address
Look
prior
at
to
him.
that, or can we do it when we come back?
What a garbage.
All right,
Pile
Mr.
of
Brooks,
garbage.
work with the state, please, for the next witness. We have them available.
All right, guys, well, we're going on a break. We came back for the opening statement, and that turned out to be pretty much a bust. Yeah, he is able to prepare in prison. I don't know if they move him from room to room, but he has a lot of access to the things that he needs. But yeah, I think he was laughing, trying to laugh at the guy to show the guy what he thought of him. It's just how he is. Hopefully the jury saw that. We certainly saw it. His mask off, I think, is really good. There's nothing good there, unfortunately. Sorry for his family and his mom, but there isn't. There just isn't. Maybe he's nice sometimes when he's getting everything exactly how he wants it, but when he's not, you see how he is. So anyway, we're on break, and I think that's probably it for that. And I will tag out of this thing and appreciate everybody coming by again in the afternoon to watch what might have been something totally insane, but turned out not to be. Although this exam of this witness was pretty interesting and good on the witness. He just did a great job. He obviously didn't do anything but tell the truth. And Brooks had to laugh at the end because the truth of the matter is he was the one who was owned. So his little showboating was just a loser trying to not accept reality. But thanks, guys, for coming by. And let's see if I can drop this out. We'll see you later.